Welcome back to the tutorial course on Android app development. In this session, we will discuss the fundamentals of Android. Android fundamentals. In this topic, we discuss the fundamental things to know before developing an Android application, namely, Android operating system, Android application, application class, Android application structure, application lifecycle, activities lifecycle. Let us now look at these fundamentals in detail. An Android application is a mobile software application developed for use on devices powered by Google's Android platform. Android apps are available on the Google Play Store, the Amazon App Store, and various Android app-focused sites. Android apps can run on devices such as Android smartphones, tablets, Google TV, and other devices. Android is a mobile operating system or OS based on the Linux kernel and developed by Google. Android is designed primarily for touchscreen mobile devices such as smartphones and tablet computers, specialized user interfaces for televisions, Android TV, and cars, Android Auto, wristwatches, Android Wear. It has also been used in game consoles, digital cameras, regular PCs, and other electronic items. Android apps are written in the Java programming language. The Android SDK tools compile the app code along with the data and resource files into an APK file. This means that Android SDK tools combine the code with the relevant data and resource files to create an APK file. An APK file is an executable file that contains all of the contents of an Android app. This file is used to install the app on Android devices. Once installed on a device, each Android app lives in its own security sandbox. This means one application is not allowed to fetch data from another. The Android operating system is a multi-user Linux system in which each app is a different user. Each app runs in its own Linux process. Android starts the process when any of the app's components needs to be executed. An application class is instantiated when the process for the application package is created. The process is shut down when it is no longer needed or when the system must recover memory for other apps. Each process has its own virtual machine, or VM. Therefore, the code for each app runs in isolation from other apps. An Android application contains packages in Java. The file structure has the following directories: src or source folder, gen, libs, res, and assets. In addition, the app should contain another file called Android manifest. The source file contains the main Java source files. Gen is a folder that is created by the Android operating system. All the library files will be stored in libs. The res or resource files contains the layout, menu, drawable, and other value folders. All the image files with a defined resolution for Android devices are included in the drawable subfolder in the res folder. All the string files such as strings, values, and styles are included in the values folder. The assets file contains the media files such as the audio and video files. We will be discussing in detail the Android application file structures in the subsequent chapters. In the next few slides, we will look at the Android application lifecycle. Now let's discuss the Android application class. Android contains a native application class, and we will usually create our own application class by extending this application class. We will keep all of the global variables and global states that are required throughout the application in our application class. The application class is the base class for those items that need to maintain a global application state. We can provide our own implementation by specifying its name in our Android manifest.xml. The application class is instantiated when the process for your application package is created. That means whenever we are running an application, The code that executes first is the application class, and the function that executes first is the onCreate method inside the Android application class. Various stages of the life cycle of an Android app are executed by various methods contained in the app. These methods include onCreate, onConfigurationChanged, onLoadMemory, onTrimMemory, onTerminate. Let us now learn these methods in detail. onCreate. This is the first method an Android app executes when the app starts and before it performs the first activity. The time spent on this function directly impacts the performance of the first activity, service, or receiver in a process. onConfigurationChanged. This method is called by the system when the device configuration changes while the app component is running. This means if some configuration-related changes occur in the Android device while the app is running, the onConfigurationChanged method is called in the Android application class. onLoadMemory. This method is called when the overall system is running on low memory. Actively running processes should trim their memory usage when a call is occurring. Implement this method to release any caches or unnecessary resources you may be holding. onTrimMemory. This method is called when the operating system has determined that it is a good time for a process to discard irrelevant memory from its process. onTerminate. This method is for use in emulated process environments to remove a running process. This method is never called on a production Android device, where processes are removed by simply being killed. Moreover, the onTerminate method is never called when an Android app is running. This brings us to the end of our discussion on the fundamentals of Android.